FTGS, that is F stands for faith, T stands for tolerance, G stands for generosity, and S stands for simplicity. What we say that forget about doing RTGS, start practicing FTGS, which means the first pillar, faith. Faith is something which makes impossible the possible. It is the faith in the first of all, you have to have the faith in whatever you want to achieve in life. And then the faith on the others, that is the faith on the others team members. Faith is something which has sent man on moon. You know, if we don't have faith that we will be able to do it, we would have never been able to do it. So faith is something which is very important, Guardian. Faith is also important because, you know, there is so much trust deficit in our societies nowadays. We don't trust our neighbors don't trust on us. The students do not have the required level of trust to the faculties and vice versa. We don't trust our promoters and same way promoters do not trust the employees. So point is, what I am trying to say that not being very cynical about the whole thing, basically there is a trust deficit in the society and we need to address that issue. Second is tolerance. Tolerance is something which is relatively missing day by day as we move on. Tolerance is nothing but is your ability to allow the adverse opinion by the others. How tolerant are we? You know, when somebody appreciates us, when somebody says goody things, we are very fine and good and appreciate it. But point is that are we able to accept the adverse opinion about ourselves? And that is how we define tolerance. And in the tolerance you would have seen I've read in the newspaper, extreme of intolerance is when in the road rages, road accidents, if the two vehicles collide. After a few minutes of altercation, somebody takes the pistol and shoot. End of the story. So point is, this is the tolerance which we propose and propagate to our all stakeholders, the students being one of the important ones. But not only students, but our associates, maybe the vendor, the supplier, whatever. Generosity. Generosity is basically, we all say that you have to have the attitude of being generous. Generous does not mean that you will always be sharing your financials or in monetary terms. What generous means is, being generous means that you would be generous in whatever you have. For instance, if you have knowledge and skill, why can't we be generous enough to share with the students? Maybe, for instance, you all have graduate and postgraduates. Why can't we think that, why can't we have the whole holding of a student who is below 10th standard and impart certain knowledge and skills which we already have? So be generous in the attitude, that is what we say, we impart knowledge wherever we can and make a difference for a better society. Simplicity is the fourth pillar of FTGS, that we always say that don't be ostentatious. Just be simple. And there is a very thin line between need and greed. What is needed? You please take that, please have that. But there is a very thin line from the need to greed. From slipping from the sphere of need to greed, there is a very thin line. And once Mahatma Gandhi even said that on this planet called Earth, there is enough for everybody as far as the need is concerned. But there is not enough for our greed. And you know, you just see what our greed has led to this world. It is only the greed part which is accountable for so much imbalances in the nature. One of the instances you are observing in the northern part of country. So, you know, it is our greed only to take out most of the things from the nature and don't give it back to the nature. For example, we cut 10 trees, but we don't even think of planting one tree. It is imbalance, it is the lack of harmony in the society which is reflecting on in most part of our living. There are so much disturbance, so much unrest, so much unpeace. And in order to address that, simplicity is something which is required and recommended by all of us. Simplicity is something, again, that you only take as far as your need is concerned from the society. Don't cross the sphere of need to greed. And appreciating the difference is very important. On top of it, we also approach different philosophy called VRD. VRD stands for value, rigor and differentiation. V stands for value, R stands for rigor and D stands for differentiation. Value means that whatever you do in terms of doing it in classroom or beyond classroom or whatever activity you conduct during the day, please focus on the value point of value creation. Is your activity, is your thought process, is your discussion creating value for yourself or for the organization? Please go ahead and do it. But if it is not offering any value, please think twice. Similarly, rigor. When any task is given or when any work is there, you are always confronted with two approaches. One is the simplest way of life and other one is the tougher one or the rigorous one. What we recommend that you go through every proposal, put enough rigor, even if you are imparting knowledge or making your lesson plans or whatever you are doing in academic and non-academic activity, the enough rigor has to be there. When the value creation is there, enough rigor is there, then obviously we stand for differentiation. Differentiation does not mean for being different for heck of it. Differentiation means that how your value proposition is different, how your rigorous process is different to create the real value proposition for your stakeholders. And stakeholders, as I said earlier, the most important stakeholder is the student in academic environment and then the corporates outside Sriram and rest of the vendors and suppliers who are associated with Sriram. So this is in brief, this is how we believe that imparting these values. I will not go in detail how do we translate these values through some learning framework and learning outcomes of our student and stakeholders. This I wanted to just give a brief about Sriram philosophy because I always believe that individually and as a group, we have to stand for something and this is what we stand for.
Excited to be here at such a great institution like Sriram and look forward to interacting with all of you today. Rich, do you have any message that you'd like to start with?
Sure. Nothing real formal to begin with. We did prepare a presentation that we're really excited to share with you. Just a couple of words that come from my heart. I want to say, extend a thank you for the warm welcome that I felt, and the ceremony is just deeply inspiring. And we've been working with Professor Tripathi and Professor Devadasan for some time in a very quality way, and I want to say thank you for your warm welcome. Yes, this is the culmination of something that's been in the works for years, and so this is a real exciting day for us to be able to sort of be at this point where we're prepared to launch this leadership program. And I would just say, you know, when we were talking earlier, when Professor was talking about going from darkness to light, I was reminded by some really moving parts of my life in which, you know, I committed myself to being involved in international relationships, international partnerships at a pretty young age, and then later when I started working on my doctorate, where I had a very transformational time discovering what I wanted to do. And so after 20 years of working in international business and industry, I made the transition knowing that I could make a bigger impact on people and lives and society by getting involved in higher education and as a professor. And for me that was special. And I couldn't help but reflect on leadership, and I hope that some of you, whether it's yourselves directly or recommending this program for somebody else, I really believe that it will be a transformational experience for you. So thank you again, deeply inspired. Thank you for the welcome. And it's no coincidence that Sriram and Harrison College unite because there are so many things in common in terms of mission, in terms of making a difference in society, in terms of leadership, effective management, but more importantly, this is going to be long lasting, and I think life-changing for some people because of the values being so in sync. The character, the integrity, the words that we use at Harrison College might be a little bit different. So, you know, we talk a lot about, faith, family, health, and then work. And you know, we have these things in our mission and our values, and then you see those values being embodied, I think, in the people. So just really pleased to be a part of this, and this is going to be part of a long-term relationship. My colleague Chris Hutchinson has put a lot of work into planning this, and we also have a presentation that we put together to show you, or your colleagues, or your friends, what you would learn in this program, which is a little bit unconventional. It might be a little bit different from what you're used to. It's different when we do these sorts of things in America, and it'll be also probably a little different from what you're used to. So not only the content in terms of an emphasis on leadership, but also how it will be delivered. And we think we have some real innovative tools and resources for you to be a part of. I think something as we transform higher education in this partnership, we hope that you'll be a part of it. We're going to try to give you a small preview of what that would look like. So I'll turn it over to you, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Rich. So today we're going to go over a couple of things, and it looks like I'm going to be using two computers. So I'll use my computer to go through part of the presentation, but then we're also going to share with you the platform or the portal that either yourselves or some of your employees will be utilizing when they take this program. So I apologize in advance for any time in transition as I have to make switches with computers, but we are very excited to not only share with you the history of Harrison, but also this very incredible platform that we'll be utilizing. So again, welcome and thank you for having us. I want to start a little bit with our mission statement, and Dr. Rich kind of talked about this. But you can see that Harrison College is building on a legacy of service since 1902. So our institution has been around for well over 100 years. We are advocates of education, dedicated to excellence in higher learning. We collaborate with our students, staff, faculty, and our community to deliver strategies that are, to our student-centered education and prepare students for careers that positively impact society, both locally and globally. So that's a mission statement that I think resonates well with Sriram as well, in that we look to work in our communities, but also look for a global perspective as well. I'm going to share with you a little bit about Harrison, the College of Harrison, our history. Originally, Harrison College was founded as Indiana Business College. And it's been around for more than 110 years, as I mentioned. But we've also had over 75,000 students go through and go on to career success through Harrison College. Our viewpoint and our emphasis is really on being a family-owned educational institution. So there are a lot of large anonymous universities. Harrison is different in that every student that walks on our door does have an individual connection and an individual opportunity to interact with instructors, to interact with our student support personnel, whether that platform is in the classroom, online, through distance learning, or even a combination of distance learning and in the classroom. So all the students get that same one-on-one attention. What was really interesting about Harrison is that it was formed by a former educator, and he started the institution because he saw a diversifying workforce in the state of Indiana where Harrison was found. And he wanted to develop an institution that was going to address the changes in that workforce. From the beginning, Mr. Kring, who was the original founder of Harrison, he built Harrison College by adhering to some fundamental rules, which Harrison still maintains today. And Dr. Rich spoke on these briefly, but we want to be able to offer students real value for their investment in their education. We also want to be able to prepare students to compete for good paying jobs in the economy, as well as hire talented teachers and managers. And we were having a conversation prior to this, and it sounds like Harrison's philosophies in identifying instructors are very similar to the philosophies here aspired to by Sriram. With our students, we also help our students identify employment opportunities, and any graduate of Harrison is able to come back at any point in their career and utilize our services in terms of helping them make career changes, help update their resume, do practice interviewing skills. So that's something that all of our graduates have access to. And it's really in way to help reward employees to ensure quality business education. Some further history of Harrison College. Harrison was also a leader in educating women. While much of the office work from 1900 to 1920 was performed by men, women were making strong inroads, particularly in the state of Indiana. So Harrison was there to help teach them, and female enrollment was fast approaching 50% of the makeup of our students by 1915, and it grew even higher as young men reported to military duty in the United States. This is a picture of our flagship campus in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Ken Kinesko was the man that took over the helm of Harrison College in 1986. He became the new president in that time, and in the 1990s, Harrison dramatically expanded its program offerings because there was a real need for skilled and trained workers, and thanks to President Kinesko's insight, Harrison moved beyond offering just the basic office skills, but also to curriculum that could expand into many other different areas that you see now that Harrison has. For example, we have a school of business, a school of criminal justice, a school of information technology, a school of veterinary technology. We have a culinary school. So we've really broadened and expanded the types of programs that we offer. So what is Harrison International? Dr. Rich and I are here representing Harrison International. Harrison International is essentially the international division of Harrison College. We are growing the number of students that have access to Harrison International educational opportunities while expanding and strengthening our global network with excellent partners like Sriram. It's making it possible for students living all over the world to pursue Harrison programs and degrees. So Rich and I have had the opportunity to do some traveling, spend a lot of time in airplanes to be able to meet with the wonderful folks like here at Sriram. One of our other partners is a school in South Africa, and this is just a brief testimonial from that student. I won't read the entire thing to you, but he speaks about the types of lectures that he's been participating in, how they're very professional, and how the instructors are there both in an educational capacity, but they're also friendly as well. And Eric is a student that is taking his program through Harrison entirely through distance learning. So he interacts on the same platform, the Know You platform, that you or any of your colleagues would interact on, and has had great success with that. He's currently a student in our information technology program and is pursuing his bachelor's degree in that. He said he's had no problem adjusting to studying at Harrison College. The students and lecturers are always enthusiastic and are very cognizant of what's going on in and around the world. So it's not just a US-centric degree, but it is very globally encompassing. I want to talk briefly about what Harrison has to offer, some key facts for you. innovation is very big and very important part of Harrison and part of what Dr. Rich and I are doing. A foundation to the mission of Harrison is to drive innovation in higher education. The model of a lecturer standing in front of a classroom and talking at students is not really the most effective way for individuals to learn anymore. And so with the innovation at Harrison and the implementation of new learning styles and having greater engagement and participation from students, it's helping drive what education has become, and that is obviously impacting education across the world. Harrison College has multiple campuses with over more than 800 employees, and we have over 75,000 alumni, as I mentioned earlier. Our staff and faculty are continually enhancing our online environment in a way that will change the way students learn, complementing the on-campus student experience. So as I mentioned previously, students are getting engaged not only with each other, but also professionals in their fields, as well as being driven and directed by your instructors. But a lot of our educational mission is built on that engagement and interaction amongst students in that distance learning or online environment. Continuing on other things that Harrison has to offer, we're very much career driven. That's been one of the main foundations of Harrison in its existence. More than 80% of our students find employment within 12 months of graduation from their programs of study, and nearly 70% of those students find employment within their direct field of study. That's something that we're continually working on with reaching out to employer partners and having specific meetings with them to learn what's changing in the industry, what's happening, how do we need to adjust our curriculum to have students better prepared when they go into the workforce and into the work field. That's something that will always be a part of Harrison and what really drives our curriculum. We hire professionals that have worked in those fields and are less concerned about identifying a professor that is there to give the same lectures over and over, but we want to find instructors that are adaptive and understand the changing marketplace. We also provide our students more than just a degree. They get an education that employers value. Many of our employer partners will hire our graduates specifically upon graduation because they know that if they've completed our program, that they're going to exhibit the skills that are required for them to be successful in their workplace. And when I have to make the computer switch here, I'll talk a little bit more about this, but again, building on the theme of innovation, Harrison's created an interactive web application that connects students not only academically, but socially as well. So our platform called Know You not only focuses on the education, but it also focuses on the social components, and it links students' LinkedIn profiles, their Facebook feeds, and their Twitter feeds directly to their student portal so that they are able to interact with their colleagues, folks that they've yet to meet while they're going through their academic experience. So Know You is an online college campus that combines social media with online learning and connects students to a wide variety of not only academic but social resources as well.
Robbie?
I want to talk a little bit about some of the staff that'll be supporting students in this program. Dr. Rich and I were already introduced. I'll let you see Dr. Rich's striking photo. But as you can see, he has spent quite a lot of time working in the international market before coming to Harrison. He's worked with companies all over the world and has spent time in China as well as in Mexico, and has his Doctor of Management from Case Western Reserve University and his MBA from Thunderbird Global School of Management, as well as his BA from DePauw. briefly, I'll talk about myself. As I mentioned, my name is Chris Hutchinson. I have my undergraduate degree from Bowling Green State University in psychology, and I have my master's degree in sport behavior and performance. And prior to coming to Harrison, I spent 7 years as a technical staffing consultant, working with engineering, architecture, health science companies, identifying needs in their workplace and the types of employees that they would need to fill those positions. Beyond Dr. Rich and myself, the 2 instructors that are going to be involved in the first 2 courses of the Global Leadership Program. First is Dr. Barry Kortz. He has his PhD in organizational management as well as a master's in business from the University of Cincinnati. He also has his bachelor's degree in mathematics from Kenyon College. What's interesting and unique about Dr. Kortz is that he also spent some time teaching international students in Vietnam. So he does bring a high level of international experience with him and will be heavily involved in teaching this class, but also being able to be receptive to international student needs that may differ from some of our domestic students. He also has an expansive background in e-commerce, economics, management, organizational behavior, and business statistics. And we also have, for this first term, Professor Frank Shapersky. He has worked in financial services industry since 1989, so again, a very wide, varied background. He is currently Series 7 and Series 63 registered, so again, bringing that practical experience to the classroom. He obtained his bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota with an emphasis in marketing, and he also obtained his MBA from Indiana State University. He has taught online and in classroom for Harrison for a number of years, but is very familiar with the online environment. Also want to introduce Nana Solanki as well. She's worked with Harrison now for 3 years. She's been our international representative here in India and has really made it possible for Dr. Rich and I to be able to come here and meet with Sriram and progress this program forward. Prior to working for Harrison, Nana worked as an operation manager, and she also possesses a bachelor's degree in commerce from Pune and is working on postgraduate degree work as well. Part of what makes Harrison unique, again, is our emphasis on student support services. And one key person in the international division is Miss Melody Hayes. Miss Hayes has worked at Harrison since 2001. In that time, she's been in the role of an academic and student affairs specialist and advisor. She's also been an instructor as well, so she has experience on both sides, being able to interact directly with students, understanding what their academic needs are, and then now focus on making sure that those students receive the adequate resources. Melody truly does have a passion for helping students and helping them identify their successful path at Harrison, and she'll be a big part of the support that students in this program will receive. And then lastly, before moving on to some other items, this is Miss Erin Ferguson. Erin has worked at Harrison since early 2013. She has a library background, so she's incredibly helpful in identifying appropriate resources for students online or on ground to help them complete their projects, whatever work it is that they're doing for their classes. She also has international experience in that she has had a career as English as a second language teacher in Syria, as well as in doing some work in New Zealand. So as you can tell, we do have a strong international background in the work that we're doing, particularly around this program. Dr. Rich, anything that you would like to add that I may have forgotten?
No, I don't think you forgot anything. I think I would just say that, that the gist is we're going to make this experience a personal one. And so that's why we wanted to show you the people you know, for you or the people that that you would recommend this for, I mean, they're really going to feel like they're cared for. And so there's a whole team of people that will be supporting and involved. And, you know, so the idea is to be very engaged, the participants to be very engaged in this, and we will be engaged with you. You won't, yes, you have you could work on a lot of your stuff on your time, but you will have a lot of support, and you will be engaged. So that's the main thing we wanted to say about that. And I think you'll see from Know You that again, you could do this from a computer, but it really gives the flavor for having resources right there at your fingertips.